show. Always Irish show. Always Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The calling line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, on this Friday fun day. The world of college football is changing fast, and where exactly do the Irish fit into the mix? Edition of the Always Irish Show. Please apologize. I apologize for my voice. I am fighting something. Everybody in the family's got it. I don't know what it is. I'm sweating. I'm shivering. Voice going out. Sore throat. I don't know what it is, but everybody around here's got it. Bear with me. We're going to do the best we can as long as my voice holds out. All right? So I apologize right now if I'm not as sharp as usual. Some might argue I'm never sharp, but if I'm less sharp than usual, that's why. I'm medicined up, all right? Give me a break. Thank you for being here. We got some phone calls. 918, you're going to be the first one. Obviously, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. Twitter. Search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Ink. Oh, I can still get that one out with my voice. It almost helps. Email, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can locate me to call-in lines. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire, folks. Every damn day you're alive, you type in Fighting Irish Wire on your computer box machine, and stories that we write about Notre Dame come out. It's beautiful. All right, hang in there. Yeah, people are saying tough it out, no excuses. Hey, the show must go on. There's Notre Dame stuff to talk about. Nobody cares if I don't feel good. The show must go on, okay? Show must go on. Just picture me here at 98 years old yelling about Notre Dame. The show must go on. And then John just croaks over at 98 live on the air. The show must always go on, damn it. All right, so here's the deal, man. There are all this wild stuff with realignment and all this stuff happening. I think I see where Notre Dame's headed on this. And I want to go over it because I think I pieced it all together last night. So I want to go over exactly where I think Notre Dame is at right now with all these changes in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the ACC and all this craziness. I think I figured out where Notre Dame's going. I'm going to go over it. And you guys tell me if you agree or not with where I see Notre Dame's positioning in this as we sit. Big time changes, man. And it affects everything. The TV deals like that, the Big Ten NBC TV deal. The question I have is, if they add more teams, do they have to redo that Big Ten NBC deal with more money because there's more teams? Or is that money the money? And if you go to 4 more teams, everybody gets less because you divide it out 4 more ways? Like, I want to know how that works. I don't know how that part works. All right, let's get into some of the chats. Then we're going to go to 918 first, and then I'll do my little thing. So let's do some super chats, see what we got today. Good morning, John. Mikey Poles, that's my security guard, by the way. John, I saw ESPN ranked every position U. Schools had Miami as tight end U. What a joke. But I also saw they had ND at number 2 for tight end U, number 5 for O-line, too low, and somehow number 10 for wide receiver. The wide receiver thing is just shocking to me. Like, we could argue offensive lines and, our guys we put in the league or whatever. Number 10 at wide receiver is a little surprising. On the flip side, maybe that tells you most of those good receivers are coming out of the same 9 programs. Like, that's something else that enters my mind when I think of that. Maybe all that talent's in one little area. That's a little weird. $5 holler from Paul. Good morning, John the Great. ND must be prepared for contingencies as Navy's cooking up an offense to confuse the Irish. I've been saying it since all the changes. Coach Ken out of Navy. It's a new coach, first game. I've been saying ever since this all happened, if I'm Navy and I'm that new coach and I want to make a splash, I'm pulling out all sorts of tricks against Notre Dame. I might try and play a conservative, easy, traditional Navy style, see how we're doing. But if I'm this new Navy guy and I want to sneak up on Notre Dame, I'm pulling out all the stops. So Notre Dame's got to be extremely disciplined. You cannot get sucked into anything and then fall for some silly toss back pass twice for a touchdown, something dumb like that. So I admit I've had these concerns as well. It's a matter of who's going to execute. They're going to try and do things. We're going to try and stop them. Who's more disciplined? I have this being game 1, I have no patience for Notre Dame not to be ready and prepared to defend anything and everything, okay? I just don't. C. Jones. How many times have we heard recently that Notre Dame football has become irrelevant? Doesn't appear that way to me. It's, if you want to say Notre Dame has not won a championship forever, that is fair. That is different than calling them irrelevant. Whoa, John, what do you mean then? Prove they're relevant. Whenever we go to an away stadium, we make sure it's full. All the TV ratings, sky high. There's relevance right away. Right away. All right? Look at it that way. Stephen Arado, what up? Morning, Irish Nation and our fearless leader, now known as Captain Irish. 3 weeks until a dominant 53-10 win over Navy. If it's 53-10, the post-game show is going to be jubilant. I don't know what else to say. If it's 53-10, we are having ourselves a hell of a night after that one, people. Paul again. Al Golden must be ready to make adjustments to account for the Navy offense as they will do things not seen before. Again, I need them to be prepared for anything and everything. There's always nuance playing Navy, the way they shorten the game, eat up the clock. You got to be disciplined, all of that. We know all that. There's also travel involved. It's the first game involved. They have a new coach. All of those are little red flags to me. Be aware, be alert, be more aware, be more alert. Notre Dame's got to be ready. You got a whole month to prep for this. I'm not open to any lapses or collapses, if you will. C. Jones again. Hoping this ND team is developing a nasty attitude where they don't just want to win on Saturdays, but put a beat down on teams. This starts week 1. Get hungrier, Irish. C. Jones, I have debated this and talked about it before. Me saying, I feel like Notre Dame needs more of a killer instinct. I need more mean guys. Notre Dame plays too nice. And I don't know why that is. Maybe you could say you got to be a certain level of good to have that attitude, and we haven't been good enough to have it. I don't know. But we got to be meaner. And I agree. And here's the other thing. 2024, a lot of this roster is going to flip. Notre Dame must blow some teams out this year to get those second and third stringers in the game. It's going to be important for the next year that they get some action. And the only way to do that is in mop-up duty. And it better not be because we're losing by a lot. It better be the other damn way. And now, theoretically, you're going to actually have a modern, real offense. You should be able to score more and pile it up on people. Nick Dean, it's good to be heard and seen. Got to get this team ready for a grueling season. It'll be a tough one. Go Fighting Irish, beat Navy. Get tough, damn it. Adam Dowling. The Pac-12 is dead with a skull bones emoji, so you know he means it. Is it true you're only going to be able to watch the Pac-12 streaming on Apple? Just bury them and get the headstone now. That ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. And the other reason that's going to make me mad if you could only watch it on Apple is because I'm not doing that crap. Is that going to ruin my 1 a.m. football on Saturday nights? You know that Pac-12 late game that gets over at like 1:32 in the morning? I love that after a Notre Dame win. There's nothing more beautiful than Notre Dame wins. You drink a few cold pops and you watch some lazy Pac-12 football about 1 a.m. Come on. Adam says, 918, you're coming up first. Don't hang up. Big Ten money looks a lot better divided by 14 than it does 18. So you're addressing one of my questions, which was, if the Big Ten adds these people, these teams, is there more money there and then it gets divided? Or is the number, and the more teams, the more you got to divide the number down? That could help Notre Dame's compete level with their deal if those Big Ten teams are getting less and less. So I don't know. Mark, you're right, John. We beat Marshall and Stanford even by 1 point. It changes the whole look and feel going into this season. This is in response to the YouTube short I put out last night, calling out the fans and the players for taking Cal, Stanford, and Marshall totally for granted last year. My YouTube channel had no action those weeks. The call-in lines weren't popping. The interest wasn't there. Everybody took for granted we're going to kill these teams. And you almost lost to one and you did lose to the other two. We need to not take any games for granted. We all say all year, all summer, when's football coming back? We need football. We need football. Then we get it. You can't take any of these games for granted. That goes for us and the players. NBC TV booth. Yeah, Mike in Oklahoma. It is. And it might, Mike in Oklahoma, you might be the guy call me. It looks like there's a Mike in Oklahoma. Hopefully it's you. We'll talk about it. Here's the deal. The TV booth for NBC Notre Dame got announced. They're bringing back the Garrett and Collinsworth, except not the right Collinsworth. One of the Collinsworths brings credibility and power and gravitas and balls to the booth, and the other one doesn't. Okay, and that's the one we got. So I don't like it. Whoever is gauging this, I don't appreciate it. It's a little bit insulting. Does Notre Dame and NBC think that just because Collinsworth went to Notre Dame, that we're all just going to accept anything from him? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like the people making this decision think he's a Notre Dame guy and everybody likes his dad. Therefore, everything will be fine and people will love him. It doesn't work that way to me. You got to be good at announcing. He's not ready for this job. And Garrett's a little beta sitting over there. Garrett's got no balls to him either. But Jack, it's just he's not ready for this. You can barely hear his voice talking over the game. It's just not an A-plus delivery. So I say it all the time. The booth lacks gravitas. There is no feel during a Notre Dame game that something important is happening. There's no feel that something big is going on, and that rubs me the wrong way. There is no Tony Roberts effect. There's none of that. Now, I will say this. While I have those complaints and I don't like it at all, if we end up with a TV deal that puts us right up with the Big Ten payout or better, then I'm just going to shut up and deal with it, because that would mean that the money's right, and that's more important than what I want going on. That's the bottom line, you guys. with the apparel deal and the TV deal. I have my complaints with both entities, but if the money's so outrageous that it makes us competitive with the Big Ten or whatever, I will deal with my complaints. Because bringing the money in, we need to keep up with the Joneses is more important than what I want in the booth or what cleats or jerseys I want. So that's how I'm starting to look at it. Mark with glasses. At this point, it's time to rename all these conferences. Pac-12 and Big 12 aren't 12 and the Big 10 ain't 10. So what are we doing? Tradition. Mark, isn't that the answer? It's just tradition. Like the Big 10 as a name that has a long time standing. And I think people just accept, even though they have 80 teams, that it's the Big 10 in spirit, I guess. Domer Guy 88. With my kids at Cedar Point Water Park today. Just wanted to say hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Go Irish. Domer Guy, I appreciate you checking in even on a vacation day. Cedar Point's fun, man. We used to go when we were little. I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember having a good time as a kid. And then, of course, his obligatory paint the house to rock Bill Green on September 23rd. No more red takeovers. Don't do it. Don't allow it. Don't allow it. Mark, imagine having to stream Pac-12 on Apple TV. What's next? ACC on Crackle? Put it on the Peacock. Loading. You know what never loads? My brain when I got to watch a game on that streaming network. How about that? What else do we got? And then we're going to get to the calls. We're going to start off with Oklahoma. Here's a little negativity to start a Friday from Ryan, 66 1D. We get it, ND Media. Freeman hugs his players before every practice. He's very personable. Do we have any clips of him coaching? Listen, I can't argue with this take, Ryan. It's a little bit harsh at 9:15 in the morning, but I can't argue with it. For all, I've been saying it too, for all the personality traits we love Marcus for, all the personality things he has that Kelly did, whatever it is, all of that being genuine, all that, that's beautiful, and I love it. I love every bit of it. Eventually, you got to win big, baby. It's that simple. You could be the best guy in the world, but if you lose too many games, it doesn't matter. You're out of here. Like, that's the way it is. If Marcus can't figure out a way to beat USC a handful of years in a row, it's uh-oh. Like, it doesn't matter at that point. So here's what I want to see. I want to see Freeman succeed at an elite level so that we could still embrace the personality stuff we love of Marcus. Then ain't going to happen if you go 8-4 again. 9-3 even. It ain't going to happen. People are going to be pissed off. Justifiably so. You don't get the quarterback we got coming in here to go 9-3 or 8-4 this year. That's garbage. So I agree with you. All that personality stuff's great. He's got to start winning the big games quick. Phil, what the hell? Phil, again, I'll say it. Really nice having dinner with you and a couple beers last week. It was a beautiful thing, my friend. That's what this is all about. Irish people sharing a pizza at Rocco's and having some pictures of Miller Lite. I love it. What the hell's going on with the people that select the broadcast for our games? I just told you what's going on, Phil. I'm convinced of it. Those in charge figured Jack is a Notre Dame guy, went to Notre Dame, and everybody likes his dad. They figured that means we will accept Jack without question. I'm telling you, that's what's going on here. They look at it and go, his dad brings credibility and he's a Notre Dame guy. Combine those things, the Notre Dame people love it. I don't love it. He's not good at the job. He may become good at the job, but he's not ready for it now. Rubs me the wrong way. However, if Notre Dame announces they're getting $75 million a year from NBC, I'll deal with Collinsworth Jr. It all depends. NBC doesn't believe Notre Dame is good programming choice. That's why we get scrub announcers. Well, we're going to test that theory. I think Notre Dame's lining up to get a fat TV deal. So NBC's ready to invest in Notre Dame somewhat because I think they're about to get a big deal. And it's one of the things I'm going to go over. The roadmap that leads us to where Notre Dame falls in these changes. I think I got it figured out. After 918's call, I'm going to go down that roadmap. Tell me where I'm right or wrong. I think I figured it out. Luke Collins. Good morning, John. Next 3 weeks will fly by. Yeah, they certainly will. You get into August, it's off to the races. I'm going to tell you this morning early. I let the dogs out. There was dew on the patio, on the table, on the grass. A little bit of dew. That tells me those nights are starting to cool off a little bit. And you know what that means? Football time is near. And I love it. Angela Rudiger, it's always good to see you. Dart Foundation, go Cubs, go Bears, go Irish. I have no use for the Cubs. Then again, I have no use for the White Sox either. They are dead to me. The White Sox are dead to me. I care more than the people that own the team if we're good or not, and you're dead to me. Everybody needs to be fired. Dead to me. Jason Smith, good to see you. Good to see you. C. Jones. One way to forget the announcers is have the Irish play great football on the field. Watching that would be so upbeat, we won't even care who's announcing. That's a very, very good point. Josh Miller, what's going on? Yeah, Steven's got the medicine. Feel better. Whiskey helps. Yeah, I have been down and out. I was crashed out yesterday. I had to bring the kid to the doctor because she has it. And she's screaming. I have a splitting migraine in there, sitting there, and she's screaming. It's just been rough. But if I was going to have a sinus thing or a cold, whatever we got, they tested us for COVID. It isn't that. I don't even know if that's still a thing. Whatever it is, I would much rather get it out of the way now than in 3 weeks. I got to be full steam ahead for this season to start. So if I'm going down with something, let it be now. Let it be now. The format, Brucey Bruce down in Jacksonville, I believe. Good morning, team. Another day closer to real ND football. Great topic today. I truly believe that sooner or later the Irish will end up in the Big Ten. I got a path here for the short term, and you guys got to tell me if I'm right or wrong. ND9. I can almost smell the fake grass of ND Stadium closer and closer to the start of the season. I like that, ND9. I like that. Phil says it's football fever. Yeah, that might be what it is. But you ever you're trying to sleep and you're shivering and you're sweating at the same time? You're hot and cold. That's where I knew something's wrong, John. I'm laying there. I'm dripping in sweat, but I'm shivering. I don't know what's going on. Too much Notre Dame stress is weakening my immune system, I think. Steven, a $2 holler. Captain Irish, a.k.a. Fearless Leader. I appreciate that. I'll take it. I'll take it. Jason Smith. That's just weakness leaving the body, John. I like that. Sweat it right out. I like that. Oh, that's good. That's good. $20 holler from Eric. I appreciate you. Sometimes I think Marcus Freeman is too low key to be a successful head coach. However, Tony Dungy won a Super Bowl, and Freeman is Dungy 2.0. I give Freeman a partial pass last year because of the QB situation. There's a couple things to discuss here. One is, I felt like much of last year, Freeman was trying to thread the needle and figure out how he wanted to present himself on the sideline, to the team, whatever. I felt some of that. That he was feeling his way out and how he wanted to present that personality and to get the most out of the team and all that. And maybe that's a first-time head coach's struggle that you got to figure out. It's different how you carry yourself as the head coach as opposed to the defensive coordinator. It's different how you carry yourself, and you have different responsibilities. The vibe you give off has a bigger ripple effect when you're that coach. I feel like I felt him struggling to find that equilibrium of where he wanted to be. And I'm hopeful that he figures it out this year and it's more effective. And then as far as a partial pass because of the quarterback situation, it screwed up the whole year. You can't deny it. Now, it doesn't excuse losing to Marshall and Stanford. But everybody must admit it was a part of the reason that we did it. I'm not saying it excuses it. It was a part of the reason it happened, though. And a bunch of sleepwalking. Because Kuz and Luke. John deleting comments that go against his narrative of Freeman being a Renaissance man who could do no wrong. I do not even remember the last week I deleted any comments. I have no idea where that's coming from. Maybe Pat did it or something. I personally have not deleted any chat comments in weeks, a month. I have no idea what you're talking about. Again, you just make up whatever you want to make up every day to try and get me mad. And today I don't have the energy for it. Unfortunately, I wish I did. But you just make stuff up and then put it out there. And then once you do, it's out there. I have not personally deleted any comments in like months. And the last time I did, it was like stuff that crossed the line talking about social issues and politics, stuff I can't allow. It was nothing about football. I never delete stuff about football. I delete the stuff that could get me demonetized. I will never delete anything about football if you disagree with me. That's what this is for. I do have to delete the other stuff that could get me in trouble. But Kuz and Luke, you just go whatever you want to do, bud. Go ahead and run your narrative. It's not going to throw me off. It's not going to throw me off. Mike in Oklahoma. Marcus has tons of energy. He's just now getting started, as last year was the feeling out of things. That's kind of what I'm feeling too. And I hope that that's leveled out and he finds a homeostasis level where he's happy being at and he can motivate the guys and feel like he's under control and in control. Okay? Crazy, boy. You crazy in the morning. I have a massive worry that if we don't join the Big Ten before they get booked up, we'll have to join the Big 12. That is something to think about. I also got a feeling if Notre Dame approached the Big Ten, they're not going to say no. I just think Notre Dame is that brand that could do that. And maybe I'm wrong and I'm overvaluing what Notre Dame means and all that. But I got a strong inclination if Notre Dame ever calls up the Big Ten and asks, they're not going to say no. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm overvaluing Notre Dame. I admit that's possible. I do. Oh, boy. But it's a fair concern. It really is. Eric, ND has too nice of players to get nasty. Exactly, John. I need some mean guys on this team, and I need guys that want to get physical, want to inflict pain. I appreciate that our guys are well-spoken guys and all respectful and all that. I need a certain amount of guys on this team, especially defensively and on the offensive line, that want to hurt you legally, but I need them to want to hurt you, and I need them to want to play through the end of the whistle and inflict pain on everybody. Pain. We know a lot of it as far as Notre Dame fans go. A lot of people are saying the Pac-12 is totally dead. And then where does that leave all the other Pac-12 teams? You got to scramble to join the Big 12 or what? It's rough. It's rough. Over streaming. They get a half share when they enter, and that's more than double what they got in the Pac-12. And if Notre Dame went to the Big Ten, they would get a full share. It's already built into the Big Ten media deal. Okay, so that's interesting that some of these teams are going to fall in the middle. Not at the high end of what all the Big Ten teams are getting, but in a middle level, that would still place them significantly in a better financial position than if they stayed in the Pac 12 deal. I get that. And then if you're the Pac 12 teams negotiating, how much can you say you're still going to end up in a much better place if you do it that way and join the Big Ten? Man, it's just, isn't it kind of sad though? All of us understand money makes the world go round. We all know that. Okay. Now more than ever, with the way things are going, money makes the world go round. We all know that. We're aware of that. But isn't it kind of sad that TV money is the reason all these conferences and tradition are getting destroyed? Like, it's just kind of sad. I get that it's the reality and it's the way it has to be, but I don't like it. You're destroying all of the geographical, historical conference stuff for money. And it's just kind of sad in that way. You know, you got Oregon and Washington in the Big Ten. Like, okay, if you say so, whatever, man. It's just kind of sad. Eric says, John, it's up to the players, not the fans, to win. I totally agree with you. But I also draw the connection that I noticed all three of those dog games. It was lagging as far as the media goes all week. And then the team lagged too. I'm not saying it's causal. I'm just saying the fans sleptwalked through the week building up to the game. And then the players sleptwalked during the games. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Don't like it. $10 holler. Josh Miller, thank you very much. Here's to the tailgate for Central Michigan. 14-0. Let's go. Appreciate that. They could go to the Miller Lite Fund. Appreciate it. All right. Getting caught up with the chats. Then we'll go to 918 right away. Ray, good morning, John. Beautiful day to be an Irish fan. So fired up with what will be an awesome year of ND football. It better be an awesome year. It's a big year and a lot of pressure. And again, I'm going to say it. You don't bring in Sam Hartman with the idea you're going to lose 3 or 4 games. That cannot be the outcome this year. It absolutely cannot. Okay? Andrew Gilmore. Happy's older brother. How mad would you be if ND tried to make you pay to watch home games? We better watch out with that. I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me. They're going to make it, $12 to have that window of NBC on your TV every week. You got to pay it on your credit card on top of the regular cable. Nothing would surprise me anymore. Absolutely nothing. Telling you. What do we got here from James? I'd have to recheck statistics, but I'm pretty sure NC State is good defensively statistics-wise. So being a winning program, having a good defense, and playing at home, that's not a cakewalk. It certainly is not. I actually think they lost some talent. They may take a little step back, but there's no doubt at all. Navy's a trap in its own way because of all the Navy-ness and newness now with Navy. NC State, watch out. You're going to go down there and the heat's going to be 100 degrees and in the Carolinas in the middle of September. Your guys are going to have be hot. I don't know. You better take care of business. You better take care of business. Jay Lehman, there's a very 918. I got you. There's a very fine line between being aggressive and taking the gimme points of a field goal. Let's see if he learned from last season on this specific point. Yep, those are big in-game decisions. Let's make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. I did. Here's one. $10 holler from Jacob Brown. I appreciate it very much. To the haters on Twitter, even though it's spelled different here and it's not even Twitter anymore, we are ND and you aren't. We will always be the belle of the ball. It hurts, doesn't it? Jacob Brown, you're on to one of my big messaging points today. Good job. Good job. Yeah, you're on it. That's exactly where I was headed, actually. All right, we are pretty much caught up. Let's go to the phones. 918, good morning. Thanks for the wait.
Morning, John. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I'm trying to just wrap my mind around all these big changes and the conferences and where Notre Dame fits in it, big picture. So you got that going on while you're worrying about the actual season and the minutia of that. It's a time of year where there's a lot going on. What are you thinking about today?
Absolutely. Hey, well, this is Mike in Oklahoma. So I wanted to call and I want to talk about a couple of things that you were mentioning, with the apparel deal and the TV booth, all that other stuff. But
sure.
My wife wanted to listen to the rebroadcast of last week's show where I called in. And so we were listening to it. We replayed it. And I wanted to bring a point back up because I know some people probably fell off their bikes when they heard me talk about the Tennessee State game. And the reason why I brought that game up and the fact that I had been on a campus of an opponent that beat them last year in Southeast Missouri was just simply this. That Southeast Missouri campus, you guys that are listening, is no greater than most high school campuses. And so my point is that just overall, that level of a program, that level of a football team, there should be no reason whatsoever, A, why we scheduled the game against Tennessee State, and B, why that level of competition should even give Notre Dame any fits whatsoever. The only excitement Tennessee State should have that game is when they run out of the tunnel and run out to our field. After that, game over. It shouldn't even be an issue on whether or not they do things like cross the 50-yard line or present any scoring threat, or for God's sake, stop us on our first possession on offense if we go 3 and out. I mean, I just don't understand, how this team could be unprepared to have something like that happen. So, anyway, thought to just kind of.
It's just, listen, I was frustrated when they scheduled this team. And it had nothing to do with who it was, HBCU. It didn't have anything to do with that. I was mad that Notre Dame willfully gave up being one of the only 2 teams left, I believe, besides USC, that has never scheduled a main football Division I opponent, FBS, whatever. That's what I was mad about. And so now that you did it, you got to blow them out. Like, you just have to. And I don't know about their actual team. I'm figuring they're going to have some guys with some speed, but they're going to be very undersized pretty much everywhere, especially up front. And I don't know that as a fact. It's just, if I had to guess, I would guess they're going to have speed, but they're going to be undersized. And then you just have to take care of them. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, they're probably going to have an option quarterback that's going to give us fits. They're probably going to have a nice little wide receiver here and there or a running back. But outside of that, you're exactly right. Talent for talent. Look, as they say, put a hat on a hat, and this is a total mismatch.
Yeah,
and it should do one thing. It should tell Notre Dame and whoever did the scheduling, why take a step backwards. Take a step forward. Don't ever do this again. I don't care, like you said, if it's an HBCU. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's an all-girls school that needs some money for whatever reason. Whatever. Let's just stick with our traditional schedule and not water things down.
And now I do wonder this. I know the way Notre Dame people think. I'm wondering if this would have happened if it wasn't the HBCU. Because the way I think this all came about is the connection between Freeman and their coach from Ohio State. It's Eddie George, I believe, right? Yeah. And I believe they knew right there, there's our angle to do this, and the HBCU, and the whole production's going to be about what that means and bringing those guys back together. Both African-American coaches from Ohio State have this history wanting to go on this big stage, give those kids a chance. Like, that is going to be the angle. I wonder if this even would happen if it was talked about anybody else. But the fact that they want that angle and to promote all that is a big deal. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's obvious to me that's why they did it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Hey, okay. So on the NBC booth deal, this is the thing that's infuriated me more than anything, even more than the apparel deal, and even I'm not going to say some of the recruiting losses. I mean, those things frustrate all of us, but it is what it is. But I think a lot of us are sitting here, you know, just hoping that the apparel deal goes one way or another for them because you want to buy stuff, that you're loyal to, whether it's a Nike, whether it's Under Armour. And so that went down and it made a lot of people upset. I personally, it didn't matter to me. I still got champion gear for crying out loud. So,
Yeah.
as far as the apparel deal goes, I think if they sat each other down, in their conference room, they're sitting there talking about what each um, representative wants. I have to believe that Notre Dame was sitting at that table saying, look, you guys got to fix the cleats. Okay. I think they probably did something like that. They probably did some more marketing strategy things, like maybe doing some football camps throughout the United States, a Notre Dame football camp sponsored by Under Armour, whatever. Release the Freeman apparel line. I think all of us have been clamoring for that. It doesn't, escapes the mind.
Now, wait, now let me give you this. Did you see this? I saw on Twitter yesterday that somebody said somewhere there's those green jerseys that were already available for the Ohio State game that got revealed. They were saying that those were physically available to buy. And then somebody at the bookstore said that's not possible. They got to be knockoffs. They're not the real deal or something. So I don't know what's going on with those green jerseys, but something weird going on where they found some for sale, but they think they're knockoffs. I don't know what the deal is, man. I don't know. But I like, the cleat thing. Hey, the cleat thing. That is one of my main things was I cannot forget reading that medical study, that the orthopedic study that said that teams that wear Under Armour just have a higher percentage of lower leg injuries than those that wear Adidas or, Nike or Jordan or whatever. I don't like that. So I hope that got addressed.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying that in all seriousness, I think Notre Dame probably did something in that regard. They would have had to have done that. The players probably told them, their coaches probably told them, this is low grade stuff, regardless of the brand, regardless if it's a Nike, if it's an Adidas cleat, if it's Under Armour, New Balance, whatever. Safety was probably at the forefront of this conversation in that regard. I got to believe that Notre Dame said, listen, this is how you break your contract. If I have injuries sustained and we bring these back and find out it's a result of these cleats, so develop us a cleat. We want to make you bigger than what everybody thinks that you are. If you're doing $5 billion in sales, we want to up it another couple billion in cleat sales, worldwide. And what better university to market your reinvention of the cleat than the University of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the equivalent of Keon Keeley and him coming to Notre Dame. He goes to Alabama where everybody says, hey, you're going to go into the NFL because you're playing for Alabama and you're going to be a top pick. And my first thought when I heard all that garbage was, wait a minute, how greater would your value be had you been the face of Notre Dame and the resurgence and the turnaround and the winning of a national.
And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing with Keeley. He would have had a chance to do that earlier for more years at Notre Dame because of the depth differences between Alabama and Notre Dame. If we had Keon Keeley, he'd be in the mix right away this year and would get a lot of action. He could start developing that value and all that right away. I'm not sure if that's going to happen at Alabama just because of the star power they have every year or whatever. I don't know, man. But the other takeaway from this is it's 360-484. Your two are coming up next. Hang in there with me. One thing that's obvious to me is Under Armour clearly made the best financial offer to Notre Dame because I think they need Notre Dame more than Nike does in Ohio State or Nike, Ohio State. Nike or Jordan. You know, like they are not as desperate to do something to buoy their brand right now. And so Under Armour must have offered him the most.
Right.
And Jack's son works there. That doesn't hurt either. Doesn't Jack's kid work for Under Armour? Like, let's get serious. Come on, man. Everybody tells me Jack's got a son who works there. Did we really think it was going to go any other way?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if some of the details of this are ever released. We may never know, but it would be interesting to see if somebody did say, here were 2 or 3 criteria that Notre Dame presented it to Under Armour that you got to fix, you got to do, or whatever, if you want us to sign with you, and then we'll sign with you. And if some of those things that we've all talked about.
Yeah, but I don't know if Notre Dame brass even looks at it that way. Like, I don't even know if they're aware of that orthopedic study that's been bugging me for 3 years since I heard it 3 summers ago. Like, I don't even know if they're tied into that. All right, here you go. Brandon says, also, Brandon, great. Brandon came out with Phil and I last week. It was great seeing you having a pizza and beer, Brandon. They are selling the green jerseys at Rally House in Mishawaka by the mall. They look legit to me, but could be knockoffs, and that's the word. So I don't know what's going on.
And is it male and female jerseys, or just female? Because some of the images I saw yesterday on Twitter and some other places was exactly that Rally House had a woman's jersey out there, but not a men's jersey.
Yeah.
So
that'd be great. What if Under Armour accidentally makes all Indies uniforms and ladies cut? And then what about, all right, now wait, what about the TV booth? What do you think about that? Are you mad about that too?
That's what I want to end with, and let you finish your show with your other callers and whatnot. Yeah, the NBC booth. So look, this is the thing that just, I tell you, if something sets me off more than anything, it's bad coverage of an event that I'm so, anxious to watch.
Exactly.
I would never say or compare any announcer in a booth to somebody like a John Madden or Jack Buck in the way they paint the games. Pat Summerall, when he was doing NFL games, did a great job, and I'm sure everybody can list out another handful of some great people that we've all seen over the years. Let me just say this. I'll hit on this point. So last year or 2 years ago, the Wisconsin game, when Chris Tyree ran that pump back.
Yeah.
The call by Gus Johnson.
Yep.
Now, I know Gus Johnson's in a different stratosphere. That wasn't even his strongest call.
Yep.
But that call, when you compare his call on Tyree's kickoff return, compare that versus Collinsworth's call last year of Ben Morrison's interception
pick
and
against
his return
Clemson
for a touchdown.
Yep.
That was, I watched that again this week a couple of times, and I'm just thinking, a moment like that is probably, a top 10 moment in the last 10, 15 years of Notre Dame football, if not a top 5.
Yeah.
Considering who you beat, everything.
Yep.
A moment like that, and the way he painted that was just weak. I'm sorry. And I think that's everybody's complaint.
That's how I feel,
and I don't care if it's, and I don't care if it's the Navy game or if it's the Ohio State game or USC. We want the best talent in there. And this is the way I feel about this, John. Look, it's Notre Dame football. Let's say 1 million people are watching the game on any given Saturday. Let's just use that number for an example.
Yep.
900,000 of the million are Notre Dame fans, period. The other 100,000 are split. It's 50,000 for people that are watching the other team and 50,000 Michigan and Ohio State fans or whoever that are rooting for Notre Dame to lose, period. That's the way it is in a nutshell. And so my thing is, look, we're NBC or whoever the new contract is, you're catering to Notre Dame, period. Okay. Get me a home run in that booth. And I don't care if it's Brady Quinn, Steve Berline, Jerome Bettis. You got a list of yours. I'm sure everybody else has got a list of people they want in there.
Listen,
Radio,
hey, even I was okay with Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico's a Bigfoot in that industry. When Mike Tirico's doing your game, you know it matters. Mike Tirico is a voice that's recognized across different sports at the highest level. That is a guy even I can respect. And he's not even a Notre Dame guy and all that, but he's a big shot in the business. And when Mike Tirico's in your booth, it brings credibility that something big's going on this day.
It does, and it makes it, let's just, it is what it is. It just makes the game that much more enjoyable to watch. After all, it's us, it's you, me,
man.
It's people
telling
in the
you,
chat.
I wish Tony Roberts. I wish Tony Roberts was 40 years younger. That's what I want. I want to do that again.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I want.
And the other thing that drives me nuts with the NBC coverages, and look, this is no disrespect to any former player that they brought on the field. I don't care who it is. The fact that we give the opposing team a platform in pregame and in halftime when they go to that stupid bar table off the sideline and they have somebody from Notre Dame and a former person from Ohio State being interviewed and painting and talk about what's going on and what's going to happen, that drives me insane.
Yeah.
I would rather them bring out, the science club and the math club and announce them, all game as opposed to seeing that. Why would you do that? If this is a Notre Dame broadcast, if this is a Notre Dame game, why would you bring your quote unquote enemy to the forefront?
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't want to see that. That's when I turn the TV off.
Yeah. And you know what I do? You know what I usually do? Well, one thing is this is work now. So at halftime is a time to do some notes and get some things organized. But I usually just mute halftime. It's not the game. There's nothing they can tell me in halftime that I need to hear or see. So I just mute it because I'm not interested in listening to that. And you got and then halftime takes forever on NBC. And then they do the Notre Dame promo coming back after all, whatever they're going to do. I just mute it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And there's so many things that you could do during halftime. I mean, you could take a tour of campus or give me a day in the life of one of the players that we normally don't see. Talk about, I don't know, anything. Talk about an upcoming opponent or something. Anything other than the current game and seeing an opposing representative on our field is just cringeworthy for me.
Now, let me ask you this, though.
No matter how they paint it.
Now, let me ask you this, though. And this is a big question and something on my list to go over. We'll see if we get to it. Are you willing to put aside your booth complaints if Notre Dame announces in the next couple of weeks that they signed a mega deal with NBC that's going to pay out Notre Dame a number commensurate with the Big Ten payouts? Because to me, that is ultimately a higher level priority, that getting those finances right, than my individual wishes for a production. Like, I'm willing to have my complaints, but kind of deal with them. If they go, we're giving Notre Dame $75 million and it's right in line with close with the Big Ten, and we could compete with that number, I will kind of deal with my frustrations. Are you the same way, or will you still have a hardline stance?
No, absolutely. Trust me, the booth doesn't make or break me because I can turn it down and try to find a stream of a radio.
But that money's got to be right for Notre Dame to compete in the future, and that's more important to me. That's my angle.
Exactly right. I'm with you, and the bigger point of it all is obviously I want a Notre Dame broadcast strictly, for our team. I want it guaranteed every Saturday for all of the home games, without a doubt. And if that's with NBC, if that's with CBS, I could really care less which affiliate it's with. Just get a deal signed, and keep our football team in the 2:30 slot or 1:30 slot or whatever time the game is. I want that guarantee every Saturday for 10, 15 more years. Just keep that going.
There you go.
We're an exclusive brand. We're an exclusive brand. We're an exclusive university. Yeah, this is why the Big Ten and everybody else chomps at us, because we're not in their conference. Well, this is why we are who we are. This is why they despise us and want us. It's because of our exclusivity. It's because of our brand. It's because of the fact that we got our own TV deal. We've got tradition, like it or not. We've got moms talking about us when they're not talking about you. I mean, win or lose, it still happens. Yeah. Notre Dame is still the brand, win or lose. It doesn't matter. And that's what people despise. That's why they're envious. And that's why I love us.
Yep.
That's why when I wear my stuff out in public and people ask me about, hey, did you go to Notre Dame? My first response is always this. It's always, look, I didn't have enough money to go there. I wasn't athletic enough and I wasn't smart enough. But I've loved this team ever since I was 7 years old, and nothing will ever change that.
Yep, and that is the ultimate Subway alumni line is, wasn't smart enough, wasn't rich enough, wasn't a good enough athlete, but the place is who I am, man. It's just who we are, and it's in us, and it's never going to go away. Hey, listen, man, really good call, actually. Call more. I enjoyed this. Really good call. Clear thoughts, well-spoken. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. Make sure you call more often.
I sure will, John.
Anything else?
Everybody have a great
no
weekend.
problem. Anything else you want to finish on the way out? Really enjoyed the call, my friend.
Nope. Just me and you are going to somehow have to connect about your Central Michigan game, because I know you were doing your campus tour here a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I gave you a little piece of information of a potential landing spot for your show if you hadn't already got it. It's that piece of property that sits right next door to Brothers.
Yes.
The gentleman that owns that house there, he would probably, be more than gracious to have you host your show there, and everybody that wants to partake in it. Now, he sells the slots in his yard to park the cars. He sells them for about $40 or $50, so that might be a deal breaker for some. But it's an ideal spot. It's close to campus. It's not actually in campus, because I think you said you didn't want to try to do that. You wanted it somewhere a little bit more secluded. This would be a perfect spot because it sits right there next to Eddy Street Commons.
Here's the deal.
Think about. Maybe we can talk about it.
I got your number off the call screener. I might give you a call or text you to learn more about that, because I'm down to a few different options, figuring out what makes sense, what doesn't, what would be easy for people to find, not in too busy of an area, but I don't want to make people walk or get lost to figure out where the hell I am. Like, there's a lot in the mix there. So I got your number. I'll reach out to you and we'll explore that. Thank you for thinking of the idea.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. Take care. Really good call. Clear phone line, concise thoughts. 360 and then 937. 360. What do you know? Hello.
Hey, John, how we doing?
I'm doing very well, my friend. What's going on? It's been a while. I got your last call in like April. We've had a lot of time between them. What's going on?
Some health issues, but we're good. We're ready for the season.
Beautiful. I hope you're trending up, because you're going to need all the help you can to deal with the stress of Notre Dame football, bud.
No, not this year. Not this year.
Yeah,
no.
I hope you're right. Smooth sailing, huh? You got it smooth sailing this year? Low Notre Dame stress? I like it, baby. I like this.
Yeah. The last of the Kelly fat has been trimmed.
Yeah. It's
so now we have a nice clean steak to work with there.
Man, if you really do think about it, think of how much has changed. All of those threads from the previous and the assistant coaches and the players. It is almost totally flipped. It's totally flipped in just over a year, where you're right. There is not much of that DNA left. Now, the deal is we still got to see whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And that's why this is a big year. Marcus Freeman's got to deliver some big game performances this year.
Well, he's got a big-time quarterback now, so we haven't had one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are banging on these receivers, and I'm like, how can a receiver be good when he has to come out of his break and he doesn't know where the ball is going to be?
Yeah.
So now this year, they come out of their break, and they're like, oh, my gosh, it's perfectly placed.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. I've been asking myself this all summer. I don't know how to calculate if Hartman is just run-of-the-mill Hartman, not even like Heisman level, but just brings what he normally could bring. I know it's going to make the whole
Mhm.
team better. I just don't know how to calculate it.
Yep.
Like, I don't know where it translates to be like I start thinking of all the tough games Notre Dame's lost where the defense holds in there for like 3 quarters, but the offense can't do anything. And then the defense just gets worn down eventually. And then we lose.
Yep.
I don't know what life's like for us if we're able to put up big
be-
numbers on offense and play decent defense. Like what's possible?
Because this year we're going to go up 14-3, 21-7, and the game by after halftime is going to be over. These easy games, they're going to be over. You're going to see backups playing and not just handing the ball off.
Man, I hope you're right.
That's the difference.
I really hope you're right. And the other thing is, I really do think Sam Hartman's going to help bring these wide receivers along and make them develop a little faster than they would with Pine throwing to him or Buckner, whatever. I think having that guy, he knows where to throw the ball in the right area, leading the guy the right way with the right arc on it. He's not going to miss you if you're wide open. He's going to see you. All of that. He's going to throw balls where our guy gets it or nobody gets it. All of that stuff.
Yeah. Did you see the giddiness in Michael Mayer pro day? Did you? He was like, if I had this all year, I would have won the Heisman.
I know. It's just wild. And listen.
Hey, on the TV.
Yeah.
On the TV deal, I'm going to leave you with a rumor. Okay, I'm a Peacock guy because all my motorcycle racing is on there.
Okay.
Since summer and this discussion of the contract, Notre Dame does not have a tab anymore on Peacock. You can't find the blue and gold game, and there's nothing Notre Dame anymore.
Now that's very interesting because I remember I had Peacock included in my TV package and it was free. And now I think they're going to start charging for it, but it used to be free included in my package. I have not gone on there lately because I hate doing it. It makes me mad. I didn't notice that. That's very interesting. But is that just because we're not in the season yet? And then once we start, that tab will pull back up?
I'm the idiot that watches the spring game like 4 or 5 times all summer.
Yeah.
Because I need my dose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to get your hit, man, just to feel normal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the biggest rumor right now. With all the transfers, college going everywhere, okay? The Nike deal fell through because Nike wanted Oregon to go independent, or Oregon is going to go independent with Nike. Nike's going to buy a TV station or make their own, like Peacock.
Wow. That is wild.
Oregon's going to independent, which will force Washington that they have their own support. They don't need any conference money. They'll do the same. So Washington, Oregon go independent next year, and that makes the independents even stronger.
But now what? But aren't we hearing that Oregon and Washington are close to joining the Big Ten? What happened to that then?
They can't. The contract's already been signed and divvied up. The pie's been divvied up. They can't add anymore. Like the SEC, they can't add anymore because the pie's been divvied. The contracts have been signed. That's why Florida State's in a pickle.
Yeah,
they want out, but they got nowhere to go.
Man, that's interesting. It's going to be wild to see where this all goes. So what do you think happens with Notre Dame's TV deal? Do you think they land a fat deal with NBC? And the reason that I think they do is you don't hire Bavacqua, an NBC TV exec, as your next AD if he's not negotiating you a sweetheart-ass deal. You don't do it. The only way that guy is doing that is to help usher in a new TV deal. I expect it to be strong.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. They're still advertising. They advertised the Notre Dame game, that Big Ten weekend. What is it? The Central Michigan.
Yeah.
So on Peacock, they had a commercial that was the early game is Michigan, the middle game is Notre Dame, and the late game was something else.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
But they still give us the crappy announcers.
Yeah.
Thanks, CBS or NBC.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. It's frustrating. So I don't know.
The Big Ten gets better announcers, and they're the new guys. All we want is Notre Dame guys. Would that be so hard?
Yeah, why can't they just pay Brady Quinn and put him in the booth and everybody will be happy? Everybody will be happy if you
with Aaron Taylor.
Like, sign those guys and we all love them and nobody has anything against them and they're actually good at what they do. Like, if you hire Brady, it's not like, oh, they're only doing that because he was a Notre Dame quarterback. No, the guy's actually pretty good at announcing this stuff too. He is.
He is. He's interesting to listen to. He's one of those guys, when I see him on YouTube, I'm like, that'll be interesting. I'll listen. You know, other guys I see on YouTube, I'm like, nope, I know it's a bad interview.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know, man. I would like a little more credibility in that. I just think if you're the exclusive TV provider for Notre Dame home games, you got to build that up and put something in the booth that brings like some excitement and like makes you think what is happening here is a big damn deal today. We don't have any of that. None.
I know. Well, it will be after this winning season.
There you go.
And they put a statue of Sammy Heisman Hartman out front.
Oh, baby. It would be, that would be quite the change up from what Notre Dame's recent quarterback play has been like, wouldn't it?
Here's this. I'm a dreamer, right? I've always been a Notre Dame dreamer. I'm a gamer. My family's a gamer. So when I play football, you know, I always draft Notre Dame guys. I just do. And I always thought, you know, if I was a hotshot quarterback, you could go to Alabama and just be another Alabama quarterback that won a national championship right now.
Yeah.
But if you go to Notre Dame and do it there,
it's different. It hits different.
Your children won't.
Yeah.
You're done. That's it.
Yeah.
So why not take that challenge? And Hartman did. Hartman's like, I can go anywhere, but if I do it there, they'll look at me as a god.
Yeah, you're right. It's totally different. It's totally different if you succeed at that level at quarterback in Notre Dame, it lives differently. Like over time, it lives differently. And that's just
if the Georgia quarterback can do it.
Yeah.
If the Georgia quarterback can do it, he can do it.
Yeah. And you know what else? What this ties into? Yeah. I saw yesterday an interview with CJ Carr, and he was talking about, I respect the way Notre Dame's doing NIL, where I got to get in there, prove myself. And then if I do the right things, I know that money's coming and the opportunities will come. And CJ Carr was going, this is how it should be, that I should have to get in there and earn everything. And like, that's a kid who gets it.
I can't believe the grandson is coming.
All right. Now, how would you now wait, I got some good pushback on what you just said. Michael says, Clausen tried to do exactly what the caller is talking about, but there's not enough talent in Notre Dame to win that title. What would you respond to that? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a kid that tried to come in. This is a man that could have went anywhere. He could have went to Alabama. He could have went to LSU. He could have went to
the draft.
And he said, yeah. He could have went to Clemson. He could have hopped right over to Clemson. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It just means more at Notre Dame. Yeah. There's a mystique around.
How many days?
Listen, man, there is a mystique, a unique mystique around the Notre Dame quarterback when it's right. That is, it just has some magic to it. If you're that Notre Dame quarterback and things are going right, there's like an aura that follows you around campus. It's a very special thing with Notre Dame quarterbacks, but you got to be elite. You got to be a dude. You can't just be a guy. You got to be a dude.
That's why we hold Brady up there.
Yeah.
You know, because Brady, I just watched some of those. What did I just watch? I watched 2 of their games just recently with Charlie Weiss. And I just was like, Charlie, if you had an offensive line, that team would have went all the way.
Yeah.
But they didn't have an offensive line.
So what are you predicting? Notre Dame to make the playoff? I could tell you're ultra positive, more than most people are. But, I mean, realistically, what do you got Notre Dame doing this year? Spill the beans.
Undefeated national champion.
Come on.
Natty.
Come on.
Yeah. Undefeated.
Is that your heart or your mind that is making that prediction? And I ask that with respect. Is it your heart or your brain?
That's my mind, because usually I would say
You realize some people are going to
10-2
ask you, have you lost your mind?
Every
right?
year, I'm 11-1 every year, and I'm wrong every year. I get heartbroken every year.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, but I see it coming together. Matter of fact, people are worried about this offensive hire, and I'm like, for once, Freeman was like, I'm going to give up this whole offense. I just got this team, and now I'm going to give up this whole offense again, like I did to Tammy. I'm going to give it up to this guy. He's going to come in with his whole offensive crew and just run this show, and I'm just going to be the coach. What? And he literally thought about it, and he called Swarbrick and said, don't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I want this team to be mine. I want it to be only my identity and me. And I've got an offensive coordinator I believe in. It's right here. And the boys believe in him. And then I'm going to bring in a quarterbacks coach, which, my goodness, has Tommy ever produced a quarterback?
No.
Listen,
I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Kelly and Reese keep getting credit for being like quarterback guys. Every single starting quarterback they had at Notre Dame that went more than 1 year, the numbers went down the more they played. If that isn't the ultimate red flag, you're not doing it right. I don't know what to tell you. Every guy that started more than 1 year, the numbers went down the next year, not up.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Exactly.
That's not how things naturally progress if you're doing things right.
Right? But hey, I'll be happy with anything that they're going to win this year. The happiest thing I have is 2 ex-Notre Dame quarterbacks go to Alabama and ruin Nick Saban's career.
Yeah.
End of story. Right off into the sunset.
Hey, you know what's interesting? I just saw that Saban bought a mansion, I believe, in Jupiter, Florida, right where Tiger Woods lives, and my brother lives in that area too. And it just made me think. My brother sent it to me, and he goes, "Looks like we're getting somebody new in the neighborhood," and it was Saban. And I was thinking, and I'm just thinking, I think that tells me the guy might be ready for retirement. He's looking for that Florida beach house. I think he doesn't have that long left. That's what it told me.
Well, everybody knows Tommy's dad got him that job. It had nothing. No, Nick Saban had no idea other than, was that the wet-nosed kid that I whooped in 212? Yeah, that was that kid.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to hire him as my offensive coordinator.
I don't know, but he's talking him up. Nick's up there every day going, I'm impressed by Tommy. He's so sharp, and he's got me feeling younger every day, and they're saying Buckner looks good and competitive. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I have one question for Saban. Have you met Tammy? Oh, you haven't met Tammy. Well, just wait.
Oh, man. Listen,
we all know, right?
I really appreciate your optimism. It's impressive that you could do that every year and then have the fall that kind of comes usually. But I think this year you got that quarterback changes what could be possible, and I'm open to it, but these guys must perform every week.
Yep. I know. No flat tires this week or this year.
Yep. Nope.
So,
I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you for giving me a call. What else you got? Yeah.
Okay. I love you, bud.
You got one more thing. Let it rip. I guess not. I guess he's done, but that's a lot of optimism, damn it. I mean, my word, that's a lot of optimism. 616, you're in the mix. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, John. Rob with Zeeland, Michigan. How are you, bud?
I'm doing very well. There's just a lot going on in Notre Dame land and college football land. We're ramping up. The energy's building and growing. What's on your mind as we enjoy this Friday?
I've been a long-time Notre Dame fan. I'm 42. Living in Michigan, it's been tough because I get a lot of flack from the local community.
Yeah, I bet. And is it Michigan or Michigan State area where you're at?
Mainly Michigan in my area.
That's as bad as it gets, brother. That's as bad as it gets.
So I'm optimistic this year, John, that we finally got a quarterback. It's been years since Brady Quinn, since we've had a quarterback that could actually get the ball down the field.
Yep. You know what I've been thinking about? You know what I've been thinking about this? Last night I was thinking about this. Even when Notre Dame has been good lately, the undefeated seasons, 18, 20, whatever, like even the good Notre Dame teams, when we lined up against a good team, I still had no confidence our offense would be able to do what it takes to stay in those games and compete. Like, I don't feel that this time. I feel like we could actually hang in there with anybody because of the offense, not just making the defense do everything and get lucky and be perfect. I think this offense can hang.
I totally agree with you. Look what happened late in the fourth quarter against Ohio State last year. It came down to who could throw the football, who was the better quarterback. And Ohio State had C.J. Stroud. We played a tough game, but, in the end, it comes down to you have to have a quarterback that can throw the ball when the game gets close.
Yep.
And you need a final drive.
Yep.
You got to have that gamer to get it through.
Yeah. Hey, somebody wrote in the chat, praying for this caller who lives near the gates of hell. So there you go. You got some people looking out for you here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's I'll tell you, the only thing that discourages me a little bit on this team, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, John, but the defensive line depth, the inexperience at the defensive line. I know Riley Mills got bigger. And,
I was going to say he beefed up. I did not realize Riley Mills beefed up and he's like over that 300 mark. I genuinely did not realize that. And it does make me feel a little better to see that he bulked up a little bit.
Oh yeah. He looks like an absolute monster on the videos. That and our safeties, but I think our corners can bail them out a little bit, and we have strong linebacker play. And I'm really confident in this receiver group. I know they're young, but I think this is some of the most speed and talent I've seen, on the receiver group also in some years. So you mix that in with a steady 5-man rotation at running back with Darian Price and the monster Audric Estime. This could be a breakout season for Notre Dame. I would love to see Notre Dame play Michigan because Michigan has a high school schedule this year.
Yep.
And I would love to see them play each other in the college football playoff. Wouldn't that be awesome? Undefeated Michigan and undefeated Notre Dame. And what would that do for the NBC ratings and the contract for Notre Dame?
Yeah, and you know what else I want to say is of all the Notre Dame beat guys that are at these practice windows and whatever, I have heard and read more than a couple of them say as camp has gotten going, they're starting to feel a lot better about Notre Dame's depth and action up front on the defensive line. And I've had more than one person say, I was really worried about that. But after looking at them, I think maybe they could hold in there and be tougher than we thought. Take that with a grain of salt. It's camp. Everybody's positive, whatever. But I do think that's probably good that the guys at practice are saying that they're starting to feel better about what we have there.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. But one thing I really want to see this year, John, is Notre Dame always plays up to the big games. They always play good and play up. They rise up. They rise up in the Ohio State game. They beat Clemson last year. But when they play the Marshalls, when they play, it seems like the last couple of years they've played to their competition level. And I would like to see that change this year and just go out and dominate every single person you play. It doesn't matter if you're in Ohio State, a Marshall, a Central Michigan. I think that's what's going to get them over the hump as well.
Yeah, and I would like to see a switch flip this year to where I want to see our guys have some of that killer in them, man. Like it's not good enough to just win by 2 scores or whatever. I kind of want Notre Dame to lay it on a bunch of people and show like a killer instinct and no holding back. And I always say this entering a year, but Notre Dame's never good enough on offense to be able to pile it on anybody. And I'm hopeful maybe they are this year.
Yeah, me too. I hope we lay on 40, 50, 60 points on these teams that aren't, very good on the schedule. But I'll tell you what, this is the most excited I've been in years, and I'm optimistic. I'm saying 10-2, but I'm hoping for 11-1. I just don't think they can navigate through that schedule to go, undefeated. It's a really tough schedule.
Yeah. But if it's 11-1, then that means I'm presuming like the one would probably be one of the big 3, and then you're 11-1. You're sitting there either in the playoff or right out of it with that schedule going 11-1.
I totally agree.
And the other thing is, if you do that, even if you miss the playoffs somehow at 11-1 with this schedule, it's a big picture win for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, and it would prove he has the chops. Maybe we could put out some of those complaints and questions. And the other thing is, if Notre Dame goes 11-1 with this schedule, I would think it could only help recruiting. How much, I don't know. But if you go 11-1 with this slate, good things got to happen.
I agree. Look at the first 4 games of Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan this year, who they're playing. And even Georgia, you could throw Georgia in there. They're playing nobodies.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame, year after year, constantly puts together a tough schedule. So when people always have this argument of we're not in a conference and we don't play that extra game, you go through our schedule, and to me, that's like playing an extra conference game with these powder puffs that these other teams are scheduling.
Yeah. It's a real schedule. There are landmines all over it. The main ones, the sleeper games, you name it. And I just don't know how to calculate how much better they're going to be just because they have a quarterback who could do everything I need him to do. And even the best Notre Dame teams recently have not had a quarterback that can make all the throws and do what they need to do. The sky's the limit, but it all has to come together. I could see an 11-1 path very easily. I could also see 9-3 easily too. I could see both of those being really reasonable.
I do too. It's all going to come down to their ability to play up to their ability, even though they're playing teams like Central Michigan, Tennessee State. They're going to have to be able to get up to these games.
Yeah.
And I think if they can do that, I think Sam Hartman with this receiver core, with this depth at running back, with the offensive line depth, and then all the returners on defense, I mean, I can't see them not going 11-1 if they play up to their potential.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I see too. If I had to pick, I would land on a conservative 10-2, giving them 1 out of the big 3 to win. But I am more than flexible, up 1 and down 1, that I still could say is realistic. And depending on how things go, catching a good break, having a good night, whatever, or if things work against you. So I don't know, man.
Well, one thing I hope all your listeners are listening to me right now. The Ohio State Notre Dame game, we cannot let the stadium fill up with red. We need to be there to support our team in all green, just like the Big House. You look at these Michigan games, they come flooded with Michigan fans to the Ohio State-Michigan game. We cannot allow our crowd to be dominated by Ohio State, because this is a huge game that could potentially make or break an 11-1 season, and Notre Dame is going to need the crowd to back them up 100%.
Yeah, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Notre Dame's got to be undefeated going into that game, or it will be a red takeover. I am just telling you, I know how this goes. If Notre Dame is undefeated, it's going to be an electric environment. If Notre Dame loses a game before the Ohio State game, There's going to be a lot of red there, and the vibe of Notre Dame people is going to be more anxious than excited about a bright future. And Notre Dame's got to be 4-0. Got to have it.
I totally agree.
Got to have it.
Well, John, I appreciate the conversation today. Like I said, I love the Irish. I've supported them my whole life. My grandpa, I went to the football camps when Lou Holtz was there. My boys, we go to the spring game. I had Joe Theismann at one of the spring games throw my boy a pass. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. And you know what, man? My dad used to go to those camps in the late 70s, and Era was there, and he would come talk to him, and Moose Krause would come talk to him at the football camps. Like, it's a really, really cool thing to be able to do that. Very unique experience.
Yes, it is. Yep. So anyway, John, I hope you have a great Friday, and I look forward to an awesome season for the Irish.
Yeah, man, it's really going to be exciting. So save the number and give me a call again. And then we're going live 1 minute after every game I'm not at this year. I'm going to open up the lines and let you guys say your piece. So make sure you stay tuned, my friend. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Have a good one, and God bless you out there in Wolverine country. I mean, Jeezy Pete's, that's a rough way to exist. 937. Good morning.
Hey, John. Good morning.
What's up? What's on your mind? We're shooting all over the board today, and I love it. Where do you want to go, my friend? Let me know.
Well, I want to talk football. I'm not so much into the jerseys or the announcers and stuff.
All right.
Football here.
All right. We could do that. What do you want to get into?
Now, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
To start off, what game of the three big ones do you think we have the best chance to win and the worst chance to win?
Probably. I think you have the best chance maybe to win the Ohio State one because it's at home and they're breaking in a first-year quarterback.
I agree.
That's kind of how I see that. I think USC will probably be the most dangerous team of those three. But I think the vulnerabilities of Ohio State are a little unique for how they're set up most years. And that puts Notre Dame in a great position. Clemson, that's just going to be tough at Death Valley. And people are counting Clemson out. Dabo's still a good coach. He didn't forget how to coach. And he was pissed off after what happened against us last year. Fired the OC. I expect the defense to be good and then get a new offense in there. So I don't know. But I think Ohio State looks the most vulnerable to me.
So I agree with that assessment. And I've listened, I'm from Ohio. I've listened to some people talk about Ohio and stuff. And it blows my mind. I mean, some of these people live in fantasy world.
Man, I got you, a Notre Dame guy, calling me stuck in Ohio State territory. The last guy's dealing with Michigan people all the time. It's a rough life for you guys. Man, you guys need a break.
Well, my wife's from Michigan, so I'm living in double hell here.
God, that's rough, man. Stay strong, brother. Stay strong. Don't let them steer you wrong.
But with Ohio State, I look at it pretty sometimes you just gotta be simple about it. Who got do you think we got 11 points better? And
see,
I look at that and I say, I think we got 11 points better.
See, man, now this is great. You're hitting on my biggest question of the summer, which was, I'm very, very confident Sam Hartman raises the bar what all of this could be and what the offense could be, but I don't know how to calculate it. I was going, is it 10 points a week better? And what does that extrapolate over a year and helps the defense because they don't have to be as perfect? I don't know how to do this calculation, man.
Well, I got a really interesting. So I'm an analyst in my life, and I like numbers and stuff. And I got a really interesting little stat for you. In our losses, Audric Estime carried the ball 10 times or less in every single loss. And that's not going to happen this year. You know, he's going to be getting that ball probably close to 20 times every game.
Wait. Give me that number again. Give me that stat again, please.
So I went back and I looked. In all of our losses, the most he carried the ball in any of those games was 10 times.
That's not enough. It's not
right,
enough.
That's not enough.
Now, you know what? You know what? Now you're going to get me going on this, because you know what one of my complaints was last year? I realized they had multiple backs they wanted to use. I had a problem with them not even getting Estime greased up until like halfway through the second quarter. He gets his first carry. That's not enough for that guy. That wasn't enough for that guy. I wanted to get him going. He's not going to wear down. He's a guy that gets stronger the more you feed him.
And as far as like running backs go for like Notre Dame in recent history, like Kyron Williams, he was a great college running back. But like, this is your most legit NFL running back you've ever had in like in its recent era of since Brian Kelly took over. You know, I don't know, maybe Julius Jones back.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, without Diggs, I think Estime has to pick up the main load, and then we see what happens with all the other guys, where Price fits in, where the Penn State kid fits in, forgetting about Jabron Payne, and then maybe you do something with Love on special teams, but he's not in the mix for running back year one to save him that year of eligibility. Yeah. I don't know. But it's got to run through Andre.
And I mean, and it blows my mind. See, I feel better off. I don't care if they hired. I don't care if they hired you. I think the program is way better off without Tommy Rees and Harry Hiestand. I mean, Harry Hiestand's overrated. And the reason why I say that is because Harry Hiestand reminds me of a lot of coaches that I know that like it's kind of just like Brian Kelly, really good at punching down, but never can punch up.
Yeah.
So like once his boys on the offensive line run into an equally talented opponent,
it's
they lose.
No, hey,
and I just want something new.
Listen, I think that's fair, and it is a big complaint I had. Now that doesn't mean he deserves no credit for the guys he coached that went into the NFL and they're one of five in a line and there was a weak spot or whatever, but Q Nelson's still skull driving people. You know what I mean? However, I always had that damn complaint. These guys are big, tough, bad O-line you. And then when we get in the biggest games against the best teams, they couldn't block anything.
But I don't remember the year of Nelson was with Adams as the running back, I think.
Yeah.
And like Adams had all those, rushing records.
When was that? Was that 2018, 17, something like that?
Right. But like, didn't we lose horribly to like the one or two good teams we played that year? And like, that's my complaint, right? It's like, well, we run over everybody and we have such great talent. But our great talent, when they run up against great talent, they lose.
Yeah.
And that's really coaching, So I'm excited to at least have like I just don't think you can do it. Like I just don't think you can do any worse, so to speak, Especially considering like this year we have more talent or more developed talent.
But the other thing is, the other point you're bringing up is, I'm super intrigued to see what these new assistants could do. They all have to be good. Gaduli's got to be good. Rudolph's got to be good. Parker's got to know what he's doing. Like, none of those guys can have a bad first year in their new role. That cannot happen. All of those guys got to have it figured out right a damn way.
Yeah, but this and I think last year would have been different if we would have had the same structure on our schedule that we have this year, which is 4 games before you play your first big time opponent. Because then I don't think Marshall was just the classic textbook when you look up letdown game, you that's the game that they show you. Like, this is a classic letdown game. Like, obviously this team wasn't that bad, but it's just, they played a really tough opponent week 1, which I look forward to all summer. And then, and they lose. I've heard some of these Ohio State guys say, "Oh, that game was never even close." It's like, well, I'm pretty sure winning. We were leading the game with like a minute to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's wild. But it does highlight the whole point. How different is that Notre Dame Ohio State game last year if we were capable of scoring more than 10 points the whole damn night? Like everything that we compare, everything in our minds is coming from a place of not being good enough in these key areas. And I'm thinking maybe this year we might be, and I just don't know how much better that can make us.
And I want to point out, against Ohio State, we scored 10 points, okay? And our first 3 was on a missed tackle, essentially. We had a 52-yard pass. It was a missed tackle. We didn't do anything. We threw the ball out to the outside. They missed the tackle. We run, and we have to take a field goal, okay? And then we had one good drive where Audric Estime was just more of a man than everybody else on that one drive.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. That was our offense for the whole game. That was it, And when I look at the Clemson game, and I look at that, and we all feel like we won handily, but our defense our special team scored a touchdown, our defense scored a touchdown, and then our defense kicked it off like within like the 15-yard line as well. Or whatever, we got us down to we were in the red zone to start the drive, and then you start to say that some of the offense in that game was basically Audric Estime had several long third down conversions on runs in that game as well.
Yeah,
and so, you start looking. The only game that was kind of the anomaly that was our tougher opponents, but what was really USC, where Drew Pine had probably the best day of his life against USC, and our defense just struggled to holding Caleb Williams, and we had a really bad fumble that cost us any real because we were driving and we had a fumble, which then took a game that was going to be a 7-point game, but it ballooned up to like a 21-point game.
Yeah.
So, but again, we will lose to them by 11 points. And I want to ask you, this is what I think. How can we beat USC? And I think the only way we beat USC is, I look at our linebackers from last season, and I say, those guys on the line, defensive line, and in the linebacker area, they can't catch Caleb Williams. Yeah. I watched him for a whole game. They can't catch him. But you know what? Maybe a Jalen Sneed can catch him. You just need that one guy who you say, this guy is athletic enough, smart enough, talented enough. He might actually be able to go bust in there and contain him. If you can just get a handful of sacks or a handful of hits, rushed passes,
speed him up,
the whole difference.
Yep.
A lot of those times where he, rolls out once, rolls out twice, and then he throws a touchdown, right? Like that stuff happens.
Yeah,
that's what those guys do. That's why everybody likes, that kind of game.
And the problem is, here's the other thing that happened. Let's acknowledge this. The refereeing was terrible. There was holds on a lot of those extended plays. Sure. I'm convinced that they wanted to coordinate him with the Heisman in Hollywood that night. Everybody was making it happen. There was 10 holds that weren't called. But here's what happened. A lot of those plays, Notre Dame's defense actually did a pretty good job, and on the back end did a good job for the first 4 seconds. But it can't be 10. You can't expect guys to guard guys for 10 or 12 seconds. Then you let him run around with his pretty nails painted, and before you know it, somebody's open or he's loose. Hit this kid. Well, that's how you do it this year. Hit this kid. Put him on his ass at our place. That's how you stop him. You hit him under the chin non-stop.
And I believe that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And look,
it's the oldest wheel in football. Hit the quarterback.
Utah has the blueprint. You got to watch those games back.
Twice a year. They got the blueprint twice a year. It's great. They beat them twice last year. They have their number. Maybe that's why we were interested in their offensive coordinator, too. It's a reason I wanted them.
Right. Now, and I do want to think, I just watched that. I was just watching some of that Josh Pate this morning. You know, he brought up an interesting stat. Notre Dame was 4-2 against top 25 teams last year. And the two that we lost were on the road at Ohio State and on the road to USC. One was a field goal away from essentially being the national champs. They would have beat TCU as well.
Yeah.
And then the other one was to the Heisman Trophy winner, right? Caleb Williams won the Heisman, right?
Yep.
So, and that's on the road. So, like, when you really, I understand we had lows with Marshall and Stanford, which I think kind of skew a lot of people's, minds when you start looking towards this year. But everybody would be, let me put it this way. If you score one more touchdown to beat Marshall, people forget about it. If you score one more field goal to beat Stanford, everybody forgets about it. It's like it doesn't even register, And then they start saying, "Wow, we're going to make the playoffs." That's what everybody's saying. We're going to make the playoffs this year, right? And so I think you got to put some things in perspective. And I don't know. I know you're going to ask me what I think is going to happen this year, and I do think if we are the team that I think we are, I think we're going to beat Ohio State. And I'm not confident yet because I don't know what our defense is actually going to look like with the speed on the defensive line and the linebackers. A lot of that is going to depend on if we can beat USC or not. Because I really think it comes down to, can we stop Caleb Williams or not? And versus them being able to stop us. I think it's more about us being able to stop them. And then Clemson, I don't know exactly what Clemson's going to be this year. If they're going to be better, I think if Clemson is equivalent to what they were last year, I know it's on the road, but I think we beat a Clemson team if they don't actually get better.
Yeah, and the other issue I have a harder time this summer breaking down the Notre Dame Clemson game because it's so late in the year. Like, there's going to be a lot that happens to get us there more than just getting to game 5 with Ohio State or whatever. Like, I want to know, is the playoff on the line for both teams when we get to that game, or just them, or just us? Like, all of that's going to matter. Who's hurt? You're looking at November. You're going to have some guys hurt. Like, what does that look like? But I think the biggest thing is knowing what's on the line is going to determine the vibe of that Clemson game. But Dabo's not a dummy. I know they're kind of down, and nationally they don't have like the glow they had a bunch of years ago. He's still a good coach, and that place is going to be rocking at night. You know that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's going to be a fun, great game. I think our low for this season is going to be 9-3, and I think our high is going to be 11-1.
I'm telling you, man, 9-3 is high, nobody's here for 9-3. Like, absolutely nobody's here for 9-3, man. That would just be so lame.
Well, and that's our low. Like because that essentially means that you either lose all 3 of your big ones or you lose 2 and then you dropped a game that you shouldn't have dropped. And but I was talking to my dad the other day. He needed some reminding. He's like, I don't know if I'm a big believer in Freeman. And I think a lot of it just does really rest on the fact that we lost to Marshall in a textbook letdown game.
Yep. And
then we lose Stanford, I think, in just in a game that, like, I don't understand.
Me neither. Now, wait, can I ask something though? Can I ask a clarifying question? And I want to ask that. I genuinely mean this. And I was at both of those games too. I was in town for Marshall. I was in town for Stanford. It was just a nightmare. Yeah. But let me ask this.
Sure.
Can you really say Marshall was like a no-show sleepwalking game? That is different to me than your starting quarterback goes down for the year and it sucks all the energy out of the building and everybody knew this is awful and the whole year is screwed. Like Stanford was the classic no-show because you had your team and you went in there and no-showed. Is there any credibility at all to the idea that seeing your starting quarterback go down and then knowing it's bad and it's for the year and you're totally screwed halfway into that game? Like, that one's a little tougher to say it's just a no-show when you go through that trauma. It's still not okay. It's still not okay, but I just think it's a little different to lose the game in the game where your starting quarterback goes down for the year and it's awful.
So he went down a little bit farther along than halfway through the game. I'm pretty sure we were in the
So you're saying, I don't think it was that late. It wasn't fourth quarter, was it? But either way, you're saying we were bad enough before that we're not using that as an excuse because we already saw how bad we were. Yeah. That's a fair answer. That's a fair answer. I like your answer. There was already evidence we were sleepwalking. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that possession was critical that he went down on. We needed to score points.
Yep.
I remember that, and then I remember Drew Pine comes in and throws an interception immediately. That's what I recall, and I remember that thinking, well, that's the ball game.
Yep.
And so I think we were pretty far along. And so my point to that is that the Marshall game, we had already given up all the rushing yards and all that kind of stuff. We'd already played really bad. And I just think, look, and I think our players understand that they lost to Ohio State in a game that they could have won. They could have won that game if we could have scored any amount of points. We could have won that game. And I had called in after that game, and I look, our offense looked so bad against Ohio State in its understanding of how to run the offense. Like, look, I played football, and I had to stand there and watch the offensive line, get coached, so I understand a little bit. And I'm telling you, I know what it looks like when somebody misses an assignment or somebody misses a block or doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and I saw a whole heck of a lot of that against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's going to be the same. It's also like, it's not going to be the same again this year. I personally don't, I don't think that, that quarterback, our quarterback who's now at Alabama, I don't think he's as bad as what a lot of people want to make him out, but he also, it was his first start, and he didn't. You can just tell he was thinking a million miles an hour, trying to figure out what needs. But then also, I just don't think anybody on that offense knew what they were doing. That's just how it seemed. And if you look at our offense between Ohio State and Marshall and Cal, like, look, I don't care if Tyler Buckner was playing every snap of all those games. Offense looked bad.
So the real question is, How much do you think that's flipped this year with the new personnel and everything, and Hartman and the more athletic receivers and more of them, and running backs we all like, and an offensive line that should be pretty good? I'm a little nervous about maybe one or both guard spots, but whatever. Like, that's the question. How much better could it be this year?
Oh, I mean, I think so let's take Ohio State out because they're a legitimate team. Let's look at Marshall, Cal, those two games. If you look at those two games and you're going to watch our game against Navy and whatever the Tennessee school, I think it's going to be night and day between our execution. Okay, I don't think we're going to be going out there and we're going to be throwing 2-3 picks, and I don't think we're going to have a bunch of fumbling problems. And I think it's going to look sharp. It's going to look clean, And it's like, I don't know. It's, against bad teams, sometimes you don't always get the gaudy numbers that you're looking for just because of maybe how a game plays out.
Yeah.
But I look at execution wise, I don't think Sam Hartman's going to get sacked 5 times in the first half. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
This year.
And that comes with the experience, regardless of the offensive line. That's a 6th-year guy that has a clock and he knows when he needs to bail. He knows when he just needs to burn one in the ground or in the stands. All of that comes with a 6th-year guy. If it doesn't, there's no point in having a 6th-year guy.
And also, I'm a huge fan of Andre Estime, and I think handing him the ball 15 to 20 plus times a game is also just a really big thing too. It's going to help Sam Hartman out that much more.
Yeah,
it's going to help out our passing game that much more.
Yeah,
and I think last year we leaned on Mayer so much. Mayer was our go-to thing, and I think this year it's going to be more of I think our run game is going to be more of our go-to thing. And when that's your go-to thing, that's just so much better for an offense in general versus a tight end being a go-to. I don't know. I think that's a little bit easier to stifle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I've been saying all summer, and I said it earlier in this show, I know this offense is capable of much, much more. It's just, I can't calculate it. I don't know how that's going to manifest and how many more points and what it means in the big games. I don't know, man, but we're going to find out soon enough. The season's coming.
Well, and the last thing that I want to say is, I was, a little critical of the hype of Sam Hartman coming on. But that's because his numbers at Wake Forest are more volume based. But watching the blue and gold game, he looked really sharp.
Yeah. Smooth operator. It was smooth.
And I think the reason why his numbers at Wake Forest are more volume is because he had less talent and he threw a lot more just jump balls because that's just kind of what their offense had to do.
Yeah. And I think that's why when you see some people get a little nervous about some of his interception numbers. Some of that comes from, I think that I'm just going to wing one down there and I hope our guy gets under it type deal that he had to do down there more than he'll have to do here, hopefully, with the running game and everything else.
So when I've watched some of his highlights, lowlights, whatever, some of his gameplay, and so comparing him to Tyler Buckner's interceptions, I'd much rather have the Sam Hartman interceptions that I've seen versus the Tyler Buckner interceptions that I've seen. And what I mean by that is that Tyler Buckner is throwing a ball on a line to a guy that he thinks is open, and a defender just breaks him a ball.
Yeah, and then they're gone. The ones Hartman threw are more like punts in a way, 50 yards down the field, and then it's over right there.
I'm throwing a jump ball.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
This is the play design.
Yeah,
it's a jump ball.
Yeah.
So if I end up throwing it a little short, and my wide receiver doesn't win it, it gets picked off.
I totally get how that's a different thing than not seeing a linebacker cutting right in front of where you're lasering a ball in. and it's cut off. I get that's different. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the kind of interception that young quarterbacks throw, because they don't see the whole field. The game's faster. That's kind of what you expect out of a young quarterback too.
Yep. I don't know, man. It's going to be really, really interesting. And I just think if Notre Dame has a truly balanced threat offense that can threaten you with the run game, threaten you with the pass game, anything's possible. We are not used to putting a Notre Dame team out there that can truly threaten the whole field with the run and the pass and force defenses to play Notre Dame honest. We have not had that in a long time. And if we get it, who knows what's possible?
If Notre Dame only had 2 of those 3 games on their schedule this year, I would have a high confidence rating that we would make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just because then I would feel likely to only end up with 1 loss.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Having three such tough games, you gotta win 2. You know, so can you win 2 and make the playoffs? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
It's gonna be really interesting. Hey, man, thanks for touching base. It's been a while. And hang in there, man. And we're almost there. We're gonna get the answers to these questions, but feel free to give me a call again. I really appreciate it. Have a good weekend, buddy.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Take care. All right, folks, that's gonna be it. I didn't know I was gonna go today or whatever. We went the full 2 hours. Voice held in there. Thank you to the chatters. Thank you to the donators and the calls. Here's what I'm noticing. We're starting to come out of hibernation, and we're getting a lot of people who don't call. Like, it's cyclical, and they'll drop off. Like the last people, some of them, they were calling right around like blue and gold and when Buckner left and all that. And then there's a gap till football starts. I love it. I love that. I love getting new callers in the mix, getting new people in here, mixing them in with the regulars year round. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'll put out a short tonight and then something in the morning tomorrow. And if I feel decent, I'm planning on going live tomorrow. So I'll let you guys know. I'll put out the thing I do to promo it if it's for sure. But I think we'll be able to do that. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for the kind words, you guys. Great show. Everybody's getting ramped up. I love it. It's beautiful. All of you, be safe. Have a relaxing weekend. Football's almost here.